Hello and welcome to another Beyond Shakespeare exploring session. This is the first exploring session of these specific Chester plays. It's study 11 to 13. It's the Chester Mystery Cycle, and I have no idea what they're about because I haven't done my homework. There are many characters in this, as like sort of biblical characters. You can I was going to say you can follow along at home, but I don't know if that makes sense. Because it's probably not the Bible stuff, it's quite old, and yeah, we should probably get started. I should probably introduce these lovely people who are willing to read these plays with me. Well, I'll introduce. I think just sort of play by like the roles for every play, because otherwise it'll get very, very confusing. So for play 11, the blacksmith's play, presumably because they were sort of not hosting, they were patronizing the play. Is that the right word? Endorsing, financing the play. Yes, there are so many similes and synonyms. Anyway, I have long words. So yes, for the play 11, the blacksmith's play, we have playing, now let's see if I can remember, Simeon and Jesus. We have
Rachel in Canada.
Yeah, yes. And okay, I just have to keep changing things now. Reading Anna. And well, I think you're only Anna in this, right? No, and the first Doctor in this.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
Not from Doctor Who.
No. Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm in the Northwestern United States.
And reading an angel, a second Doctor, and that's about it for this play.
It's Alan in Suffolk.
And reading Mary, so I'm assuming the Mother of Christ. Yes. And second Doctor, I want to say, or first Doctor. I lost track. No, just Mary for this one, I think. Yeah, without further ado.
Alexandra, and I am also here.
Hi, and I'm Eric Karoulla, your host for today. As usually, I'm not this shambolic, and usually I'm not in a shirt. I think it's the shirt's fault. So I'm gonna blame that. I'll be reading Joseph and pretty much anything else that crops up. I think possibly Doctor 3 as well. So, without further ado, and very much, very many wishes of good luck, because this is difficult language. It's like I don't know, any of the plays we've read recently. Simeon, lead us in to the play 11.
Mighty God, have mind on me that most art in majesty. For many a winter have I be priest in Jerusalem. Much teen and incommodity followeth age full well I see. And now that fit I may not flee, think me never so swim. When I am dead and laid in clay, wend I mote the same way that Abraham went, be sooth to say, and in his bosom bay. But heaven bliss after my day, till God's Son come, the sooth to say, to ransom his folk in better array, to bliss come never we. That Christ shall come, well I wot, but day nor time may no man wot. Therefore my book look I mought, my heart to glad and light. When a say saith I will see, for well I wot how it shall be, ere I died, well were me, of him to have a sight.
And here we have some Latin. So basically, tunc respitiens librum legat prophetium. And he reads from, presumably he reads from a prophetic book. Behold, the virgins shall conceive and bear a son, because clearly that hasn't happened yet. So yeah.
Lord, much is thy power. Lord, much is thy power. A wonder I find written here. It saith a maiden clean and clear shall conceive and bear a son called Emmanuel. But of this leave I never a deal. It is wrong written as I have a hail, or else I wonder it where. He that wrote, this was a phone to write a virgin hereupon, that should conceive without help of a man. This writing marvels me. I will scrape this away anon. Thereas a virgin is written on, I will write a good woman, for so it should be.
And there's another bunch of Latin, which more or less translates to, he tries to write, change what's in the book, but an angel changes it back, maybe. And he shuts the book, and basically he tries to change virgin to good woman, and because science. And he he shuts the book, and Anna speaks.
Simeon, father, sooth I see that Christ shall come our boot to be, from the Father in majesty, on mankind for to mine. And when he comes, leaves you me, he will have mercy and pity on his folk to make them free, to save them from their sin.
The time of his coming know I not, yet many books I have sought, but wonderly he that is writing wrought, and marvel thinks me. My book to look if I find aught, what manner mankind shall be bought, and what time it shall be.
And then he takes the book and says with wonder,
Ah, Lord, how may this be? Today that I wrote last, I find a way of red letters in stout array, a virgin written therein. Nay, fay, after I will assay whether this miracle will vary, and scrape this word, written so gay, and write, a good woman.
And again, he tries to change the text as before.
Dame Alice, thou may see well here, this is amended in good manner, for a wonder thing it were to fall by any way. Therefore, as it was amiss, I have written it that soother is, that a good woman shall Lewis conceive, not a may.
And if I manage to unmute myself, which is quite an achievement today, then he places the book, and the angel changes it back to what it was.
Sir, marvel you nothing thereon, forsooth, God will take kind in man. Though his Godhead ordain he can a maid a child to bear. For to that high comely king impossible is nothing. Therefore I leave it no leasing. But sooth, all that is here.
By my fay, yet I will see whether by my letters changed be.
And he receives the book, or accepts the book.
Ah, high God in Trinity, honored be thou I. For golden letters let my luti are written through God's posty. Since I laid my book from me and my writing away, there is a good woman written was, right now here before my face, yet stirred I not out of this place, and my letter changed is. This must be needs by God's grace, for an angel this written has. Now leave I a maiden in this case, shall bear a baron of bliss. Now, Lord, saith that it so is, that thou wilt be born with bliss of a maiden that never did amiss. On me, Lord, thou have mind. Let me never death taste, Lord, full of grace, till I have seen that child's face, that prophesied here is in this place, to cover all mankind.
Simeon, I tell thee sickly, that God's own ghost am I, common to warn thee wittily. Death shalt thou never see, till thou hast seen Christ Freitas, that born is of maiden Mary, and common mankind for to by from God in majesty.
Ah, Lord, I thank thee of thy grace that thy ghost sent to me in haste. Now hope I sickerly in this place, for thy son for to see, that of a virgin must be born to save mankind that was forlorn. As Aesop's book told me before, Lord, blessed must thou be.
And before Mary and Joseph approach the temple, we maybe we should put to remember a bit more, like, okay, clearly before this, like, if I remember correctly, Simeon is a prophet or a scholar. I can't remember this. Please correct me. And yeah, he keeps trying to rewrite the book, but obviously you don't mess with the book or with God, or God has Google Translate. Maybe, or better than that. He doesn't accept loose translations. In this case, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, the other one that we've got, which is a common trope in the Chester plays, and I think some of the other mystery cycles as well, is references to the Trinity well before the normal biblical sources would do it.
Yeah, true. Alexandra.
Yeah, on that subject, I think it's really interesting because whenever these plays were being performed, might have been a time when this concept or this debate was relevant, and therefore it was included about, oh, the book says virgin, but I don't think that's what it means. I think it means, maiden in the sense of young girl. This was and remains a disputed sort of thing because of all the translations that exist. So there's the early Hebrew or Aramaic, and then that got translated into Greek, and that got translated into Latin, and so on. And someone at some point went all the way back to the original and looked at the words and went, wait, hang on a second. The Greek says virgin, but the thing that the Greek translates just means young woman.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I've read as well. I was going to say that Jerome was the one who made that choice, but you're right. It's the Septuagint. The word in Hebrew really means just young woman, and this is Isaiah, the book of Isaiah. What's it? Sometimes called the fifth gospel, anyway. It didn't mean that in Hebrew necessarily. But once it got translated into the Greek and then the Latin from the Greek. So it's interesting that there's so much, oh no, it says virgin. It says virgin. It says maid. When the Hebrew does not say that.
But it's interesting, isn't
but
it?
Nobody, but very, very few people.
This particular version of the mystery plays wants the audience to know which side their bread is buttered on.
Oh yeah, of course, it's important. You have to know if you're arguing with someone who's not of the same religion. She was a virgin, yeah. Maybe I'm assuming that's one reason, and sort of because I'm assuming also it was a literacy thing. Like not a lot of people had access to books. Yes, I don't know.
Well, right, and almost no one read Hebrew. If you could read in medieval Europe, you read Latin, so you read Jerome's Vulgate, which does translate. I think probably has Virgo.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm just like sort of because we've not read this type of thing in a while, and it's kind of like the rhyme is so like the meter and the rhyme is so different, and it can throw you off. Just like born, forlorn, before and then be. It's like it kind of I don't know. It just feels a bit weird to sort of fall back into that rhythm again. At least for me listening. I know, Alexandra.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you're right. It looks and feels very medieval. Do we know when this would have been A, composed and B, performed?
Oh boy. Alan?
A feeling mid-15th century.
Answers on a postcard, people.
But there's a lot of debate. The thing is that the Chester cycle had an extremely long lifespan. And part of the issue is that there are a number of different scribal editions around with significant variance between them. And some of them, in fact, when you get to some of the later versions, you're getting up towards the point of the Reformation, at which point they get very heavily edited to be what would now be described as being politically correct.
Yeah.
That explains the virgin thing. Then sort of going back to something they've been performing for years and years and going, no, this is the point where we must clarify for those people, tuning in late, which version of the faith we're in.
Yeah, but also it gets to the 11th play, so it's kind of like the previous 10 plays are all about the creation of the world, creating the animals and whatever. Isaac and Abraham, Cain and Abel, all that, and then you eventually get to somewhere here, and it's like it takes you 11 plays to be told that it's virgin and not good woman, and it's also interesting that it's that important for this as well.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to remember that there's a heck of a lot of material in the Old Testament stories to cover. I mean, you've got Noah and his flood, I think, in the Chester cycle. You've got, I can't remember, it's this cycle or one of the others that's got an interminable play about all, which tries to reconcile all of the prophets, the pre-Christian prophets, and that is an exercise which would drive you insane, because trying to reconcile their stories is virtually impossible.
Yeah. Well, in that case, we should probably just move on and find what happens, because we probably know what happens, but I mean, more or less. But we're here to read the plays, and enter Mary and Joseph approaching the temple.
Joseph, my own true fair, now read I, if your will were, if 40 days are gone entire, the temple that we go to and Moses' law for to fulfill, my son to offer Simeon till, I would well that it is God's will that we now so do.
Yea, Mary, though it be no need, since thou art clean in thought and deed, yet it is good to do as God bade and work after his law. And to the temple that we go and take with us dovebirds too, or a turtle to offer to, and so fulfill God's law.
Rightwise, Simeon, God see thee. Here am I common now to thee, purified for to be with mild heart and meek. Receive my son now at me, and to my offering birds 3, as falls, sir, for your degree and for your office speak.
A sign I offer here also, a virgin wax, as other mo in tokening she has lived so in, I'm guessing it's so, in full devotion. And Sir Simeon, leave well this, as clean as this wax now is, as clean as my wife, a wis of all corruption. And then Simeon receives the child in his arms. So Jesus has been born at this point, and is being handed over to Simeon.
Welcome, my Christ, my Savior. Welcome, mankind's conqueror. Welcome of all fruit the flower. Welcome with all my heart. To thee worship, joy, and honor. For now I see my Savior is coming to leech my languor and bring me unto bliss. Though I bear thee now, sweet white, thou rulest me as it is right. For through thee I have main and might, more than through the way of kind. Therefore a song, as I have tight, and lauds to thee with heart right. I will show here in thy sight, O me, Lord, thou have mind.
Then Simeon sings, or presumably chants, because it sounds like if it's Latin, it would probably be a chant. Nunc Domitis servum tuum Domine, and so on.
Now, Lord, let thy servant be after thy word in peace and lee, for with my eyes now I see thou art mankind's heel. For thou hast ordained there thy postie to people which thou hast pity. Light is coming now through thee, and joy to Israel. And Mary, mother, to thee I say, thy son that I have seen today is coming. I tell thee in good faith for falling of many a fun. And to relieve in good array many a man as he well may, in Israel here to wend away that shall leave him upon. Many signs he shall show, in which untrue shall not trow. And suffer thou shalt many a throw, for sword of sorrow it shall go through thy heart, that men shall know the thoughts in heart on a row of men that shall contrary you and found to work thee woe.
And I acknowledge to thee, Lord, here to leave on thee through thy power, that 84 years has sent me might and grace to live in penance and prayer. Now wot I well, withouten wear, that thou art Christ, in Godhead clear, in thee wholly thou it hast. And openly here, sooth I say, to all the people that I see may, the which have waited many a day after thee, our Saviour. Thou art common, Christ vere, this wot I well by many a way. Therefore I honor thee now and aye, my Christ, my Creator.
And here there is a scene shift. So either you change Passion Wagon or you just sort of change the scene. Yeah. I don't know what we're shifting to though. So yeah.
Dramatic scene shift. Sorry, my script also shifted. Joseph, husbandly and dear, our child is gone upon his way. My heart were light an he were here. Let us go seek him, we I pray. For suddenly he went his way and left us both in Jerusalem, greatly in liking many a day that will be Lord over all the realm.
Mary of mirth we may us mean, and truly well between us two, a fairly sight that we have seen, sith we came the city fro.
Dear Joseph, you will not ween sith our child has been with us with. Homeward I read we hie. He kept us both from groan and grief in all the might ever we may, for dread of wicked company, lest any us meet upon the way. Homeward therefore I read we hie.
And scene shift. Now I've just realized, since we've that basically it's the temple episode, so we've shifted into a different like timeline as well. It took me a moment, but yeah, it took me the entire scene. So, any thoughts before we move on, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, this play in particular jumps significant periods of time, because we go from the purification of the Virgin, which would have been 40 days after birth, to the disputation with the doctors, which is, according to the conventional narrative, 10 or a dozen years later. So continuity issues, I think, within the script.
Well, clearly they knew how to make transitions. Alexandra,
without SFX as well.
Yeah, Lynn and Alexandra.
Yeah, that means there might be stuff missing. There might be something we don't know. But I think it's also good to remember that the audience would have been intimately familiar with these stories. Not because they were literate, but from pulpit preaching. They know this comes next and this comes next and this comes next. And if the cycle was performed every year, it's watching reruns, so they wouldn't need as much explanation about scene shifts and time shifts as they wouldn't feel the lack the way we do.
Well, yeah, also we're just reading it cold, so I guess it's different, like knowing what's going to come next. I guess also there's the what do you call it? I guess I expected more from the Simeon play, because Simeon part of the play, because I seem to remember in the End Town plays we had a lot more of that, like sort of they tried to make a bigger point that Mary is a virgin, and sort of it's very sort of emphasized.
There's this trial.
Yeah, something about being chased around by demons and the demons die with her blood or something like that. I can't remember, but I remember skim reading it. So yeah, Alexandra, I was surprised.
Yeah, I wasn't around for that part of the End Town plays. That sounds like some excitement. What I was going to say is, I think, yeah, Lynn is right. The audience at the time probably wouldn't have needed any explanation, any clarification as to what's going on, and what we are reading as stage directions or as instructions in Latin are more to the players, or potentially as reminders. What I was going to say is there's a section which you mentioned where now he sings the Nunc Dimittis. That's a part of, and I imagine it was at the time as well. It's a part of the Christian service that is a recitation, usually in song, from this episode in the Bible. So it's been set to many versions of music, and basically it's the words that Rachel read immediately afterwards. Something along the lines of, "Now you dismiss your servant, Lord, like you promised you would, and I'm happy to go because I've seen salvation by meeting, this boy." And some more information about, "Oh, isn't it great that you've prepared all this for us?" And I think at the time of these plays that that part of the service would have been in Latin.
Mhm.
So I wonder whether it would be a case of he sings the nunc in Latin so people recognize what he's doing, and then he translates it into English spoken, or whether this is a setting of it in English.
Yeah,
I just
I
wonder.
have no idea, but that would make sense because not a lot of people would actually speak Latin except maybe the people who are chanting. Alan.
I think Alexandra may have a point there, that it is probably sung in Latin, and then you've got a slightly freeform translation of it as exposition, because I'm not sure the church would wholly approve
Mhm.
at that time of any of the parts of the standard service being rendered in what was perceived as being the vulgar tongue.
Yeah, until much, much later.
Mm.
Many centuries later.
Well, a century or so later, anyway.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, what I was gonna say is that I like how this text is like, so it passes, it sort of feels like it glossed over the fact that Simeon is old enough to sort of go, I'm just gonna hang on a bit longer and then I'm gonna die. I need to meet the Savior. I think it's either Simeon or Anna. I can't remember which of the two it is. And he's like, I will meet the Savior and then die. That's my goal in life, or well,
Right.
my function in the play at least. Rachel, any thoughts?
I think it was Simeon who just, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and also just kind of like they bring doves and stuff. I mean, there are animals on stage. I'm assuming these are probably real doves as opposed to like fake doves. I don't know. As Alexandra's going, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking much more sort of stuffed or representational props that can be, seen from very far away in the crowd and recycled year after year when we do this cycle of plays again.
Yeah, probably. You are probably right. Or they just catch doves every year and release them. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway, let's move on to the entrance of, well, no, actually there are no entrances. It's just a scene shift, which basically we have doctors and Jesus chatting about stuff, well, religious ideas.
Here our reason right on row, your clerks that be of great conning. Methinks this child will learn our law. He taketh great tent to our talking.
Clerks that be of great degree unto my talk, you take good heed. My Father that sitteth in majesty, he knows your works in thought and deed. My Father and I together be, in on Godhead withouten dread. We be both one in certainty, all these works know to rule and read.
Hark this child in his boarding, he weens he kens more than he knows. Certes, son, thou art over young, by clergy clean to know our laws. Therefore, if thou would never so fain, further in age till thou have draw, yet art thou neither of might nor main, to know it as a clerk might know.
Thou wilt speak of Moses' law. Take good heed, and thou may see, in case be that thou can know, here in this book they written be.
The kingdom of heaven is in me light, and hath me anointed as a leech, and given me plain power and might, the kingdom of heaven to tell and teach.
Behold how he has learned our laws, and he learned never on book to read. We think he says subtle saws, and very truth, if you take heed.
Let him wend forth on his ways, and he dwell without dread. The people full soon will him praise, well more than we for all our deed.
This is nothing to my intent. Such speech to spend, I rede we spare. As wide in world as I have went, yet found I never so fairly a fair.
By matters this child hath meant, to know our laws both less and more, out of heaven I hope him sent, into the earth to salve our sore.
You that masters be of Moses' law, and worthy doctors of great degree, one commandment to me you show, that God on earth bade kept should be.
I read this in the first bidding, and is the most in Moses' law, to love our God above all things, with all our might and all our saw.
That for to do look ye be bane, with all your heart, with good intent. Take you not his name in vain, that is my Father's commandment. Also honor your holy day, no work save alms deeds you do. These three, these certain sooth to say, and first table belonging to. Also father and mother worship I, take no man's goods without the right, and false witness you put away, and slay no man by day or night. Envy do by no woman, to do her shame by night or day. Other men's wives desire you not, all such desires you put away. Look ye ne steal by day nor night, whatsoever that ye be lent. These words understand you may, they are my Father's commandment.
Sir, this child of mickle price, which is young and tender of age, I hold him sent from the high justice to win again our heritage and enter marriage and drugs.
Now, blessed be he us hither brought, in lands there lives none so light. See where he sitteth we have sought, among yonder masters mickle of might. Wend forth, Joseph, upon your way, and fetch our son. And let us fare that sitteth with yonder doctors gay, for we have had of him great care.
Mary, wife, thou wot's right well that I must all my travel teen. With men of might I cannot mell, this is so gay and furs fine.
My worthy son, to me so dear, we have you sought full wonder wide. I am right glad that you be here, that we found you in this tide.
Mother, full oft I told you till, my father's work for weal or woe, hither was I sent for to fulfill. That must I needs do ere I go.
Thy sores, son, as have I heal, I can nothing understand. I shall think on them full weal, and found to do what they command.
How have you heard all in this place, that Christ is comen through his grace, as holy Esau prophesied hath, and Simeon hath him seen? Leave you well this, lords of might, and keep you all his laws of right, that you may in his bliss so bright evermore with him to lead.
And thus endeth the play. Now that we know Christ is in the world and actually sort of not on the way, but sort of among the doctors and stuff, and putting things right by telling scholars what to do. I'm guessing. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm a bit not confused, but like sort of not sure how to feel about this play because it covers a lot of stuff in one play, whereas other ones like to stretch it out a bit and then sort of like maybe they didn't have, maybe they had a huge budget for this, like, the blacksmiths. Presumably they would have made everything, maybe nearly. No, I don't know. Any thoughts?
Oh, a lot of things were made of wood in this period. Dishes were made of wood. So blacksmiths didn't make everything, but they made a lot. They made a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I do like how sort of Jesus is just hanging out with the older guys, and basically Mary and Joseph go, "Come on, it's time to go home now." And he's like, "No, I have stuff to do." I mean, obviously not in that tone, but teenagers, right? I'm assuming he's. I say that. Rachel has thoughts.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's about 10 or he's about 12, isn't he? 12 or 13.
That's my impression. Is he's usually
He's found at the
portrayed
temple,
as being
you know,
about 12.
arguing with the scholars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And putting them in their place as well. Like, you can't do that. Of course not. And oh my God, he knows their stuff. Yeah. Or oh my me. I don't know that. How does that work? Yeah. Alexandra.
I also note that he's listing the commandments. This is my father's commandment. But I can't quite pick up that there are 10 of them. So I'm wondering about the text here, because presumably this is another opportunity to teach a lesson to the audience and sort of go, and by the way, this is what we believe. Here is a list of things.
Well,
yes.
there is. Sorry, Alan. Yeah.
Well, my feeling is they've left out number 7 because that's always been the unpopular one.
I think I counted. I don't know how many I counted. It's like well, unless you count
They got them.
I actually don't know them off by heart, so yeah. Because you've got, honor your holiday, no work save alms deeds. Yeah. And but
the reason I bring it up, is so he says this is my father's commandment the first time, and then after honor your holy day, he says these 3. So he's listed 3 commandments so far, and then he lists a few more, and he ends with do not steal, which I'm pretty certain isn't the last one. So this is why I'm wondering whether there's something to do with versions of the text, or what might have happened to give us this sort of curtailed list.
Yeah.
And possibly rearranged list.
Yeah. Maybe they kind of, well, I mean, it goes from religious to non sort of the more earthly stuff. So it goes from like honor your holy days, so on and so forth, father and mother worship, and well, take no man's goods, like that. From as soon as you leave from father and mother worship the next line basically jumps into non-religious stuff, where it becomes like more law / civil law. I don't know what the right word is, like sort of more earthly things, like don't because take no man's goods without the right is the same thing as look ye nay steal. Basically. Kind of, maybe. Lynn.
Yeah, I mean, you may well be right. There might be 10 and I just miscounted. But yes, I just thought that was interesting.
No, there's not 10 there, because the very first commandment is thou shalt have no other gods before me. And then no, make not a graven idol and fall down before it. So yeah, like Eric says, the first commandments are about religious practice, and then I'm sorry. No,
Rachel got excited.
Oh, wait.
So and then it's thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. And actually it's you would get either like 9 or 10 or 11 depending on how you parse it, even in scripture. So
Rachel, yeah, sorry.
The first 3 are all about the status of God, the first 2 commandments, and it skips and it just goes to the 3rd one, and then references the first 3. So it sort of collapses the first 3 commandments in the beginning of that speech of Jesus, in the play.
Yeah. Well, also because it's interesting, envy do by no woman to do her shame. which is not one of the commandments as far as I remember.
Well, I think it's thou
Like
shalt not commit
respecting
adultery.
women is not a thing.
Well, right.
I don't
It's
know.
thou
I'm
shalt
just
not commit adultery, but it's phrased in a delicate way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
I was
then,
going to say,
yeah.
I think Lynn, the one you mentioned as the first, I think that's what the first doctor is putting into other words. Because if I understand correctly, what you have is you have little boy Jesus being brought to the temple or being misplaced by his parents. I'm not entirely sure what happened earlier, but Mary's going, I think we should go home now. Hang on, where's our son? And he's, scene shifts to he's in the temple with clever, wise old men saying, right, you guys, tell me, the biggest, or give me a commandment, one commandment to me you show. And so the first doctor goes, right, well, according to my studies,
Notes.
it's this. And then he lists a whole bunch of others.
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, this is what's occurring in this scene. And then, along come Mary and Joseph, going, there you are. This is interesting. What you're up to here. I understand none of it. Let's go home.
Yeah, pretty much. That's basically, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think any of us no, we do understand what's going on, sort of, but yeah. I think Mary doesn't get it either. And what I find interesting is like you should go like they do make the sort of, well, not class distinction, but there's that distinction of we don't really know what the doctors are on about, because Mary goes, went forth Joseph upon your way and fetch our son. So clearly this is a space not for women. And even Joseph goes, yeah, okay, but I can't like confront them, and it's just an interesting sort of distinction, I guess. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph, in all of the mystery cycles that we've done, comes across as being a bit reticent, not really wanting to challenge authority. He's basically all for a quiet life, which he doesn't get.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, being the dad of the wife, or well, being the husband of the wife of the mother of God, without actually, that makes things complicated. Personal life and public life as well. I don't know. Anyway, yes, there are things. We should probably move on to the next play. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, so it's fine. There are many variations on these plays, so like, I mean, even I think there was one last year, like in Chester, they performed Chester Mystery Cycle and live. They still perform them, in case you're wondering, people of the future, because we're recording this in 2023, and you're probably going to get this sometime in 2024 or later. I don't know when this is going to be released. So yeah, you can probably find these somewhere near you, without plugging any like specific thing, any specific like company or town. According to Alexandra, they're performed every 5 years. So these are quite the cycle is still extant in a way. So yeah, we should move on to play 12, the Bouchers or Butchers possibly play. This has a cast of 6, as noted specifically here. So we have, let's see if I can get this right without messing it up. We have reading Satan, we have Alexandra. Fitting. And I think also and a woman as well, which is very useful, such a lovely name for a character. And then we have Jesus is being read by Rachel again, I believe, and Doctor is, well, I mean, wait a sec. let's see. Lynn, you can read the doctor since, I mean, it's
Right, I think
we
that's
don't
what I-
have different doctors, but yeah. And first Pharisee is, who's the first Pharisee? I'm guessing it's oh, it's me. I'm reading everything else basically. And Alan is the second Pharisee. So without further ado, we go to meet. Oh, I believe this is the temptation one. So it's meant to be, based on the Latin underneath. It's when Satan tries to tempt Jesus in the desert, if I'm not mistaken. So Satan, take it over.
Now by my sovereignty I swear, and principality that I bear, in hell pine when I am there, again I will essay. There is a dose bird I would dear, walks abroad wide aware. Who is his father? I what near? Thee sooth, if I should say. What master man ever be this, that now in world comes is? His mother I wot did never amiss, and that marvels me. His father can I not find iwis for all my craft and my quaintice. It seems that heaven all should be his, so stout a sire is he. He is man from foot to crown, gotten without corruption. So clear of conversation knew I none before. All men of him marvel more, for as man he goeth up and down, but as God with devotion he has been honoured yore. Sith the world first began, knew I never such a man, born of a deadly woman, and yet she is winless. Among the sinful, sin doth he none, and cleaner than ever was any one he seems to be, of blood and bone, and wiser than ever man was. Avarice, nay, no envy in him could I ever espy. He hath no gold in treasury, nay, tempted is by no sight. Pride has he none, nay, gluttony, nay, no liking of flattery. His mouth heard I never lie, neither by day nor night. My highness, he puts behind, for in him fault can I none find. If he be God in man's kind, my craft then fully fails. For more than man I wot he is, else somewhat he did amiss, save he is hungry, else I wot not what him ails. And this thing dare I soothly say, if that he be God vere, hunger should grieve him by no way, that were against reason. Therefore now I will essay with speech of bread him to betray. For he hath fasted now many a day, therefore bread were in season.
And with that, the devil, Satan, turns to Jesus to say,
Thou man, abide and speak with me, God's son, if that thou be. Make of these stones that thou mayst see bread through thy blessing.
Satan, I see thee sickerly. Bread man lives not only by, but through God's word, verily, of his mouth's coming. Therefore thou pinest thee, Satanus, to supplant me of my place by meat, as sometime Adam was of bliss when he was brought. Deceived he was that time through thee, but now must fail thy posty. Therefore to move that thing to me, it shall serve thee of naught. Satan, through thine enticement, hunger shall not turn mine intent, for God's will omnipotent is my meat without fail, and his word perfect sustenance to me always without distance. For thou shalt find no variance in me that shall avail.
Out, alas, what is this? This matter fares all amiss. Hungry I see that he is, as man should kindly be. But through no craft, may no cointease, I may not turn his will in wit. No need of meat, nay worldly bliss, in him nothing hath he. For he may suffer all manner, aye, as man should, well and stiff alive. But ever he wins the victory, as Godhead in him wear. Some other slight I must espy, this docile bird for to destroy. For of me he hath the mastery, unhappily now. Adam, that God himself wrought, through my deceit in bale I brought. But this sire that I have sought, born of one woman, for no need that himself has, with no counsel in this case, to grieve him, I may have no grace, for no craft that I can. But I will seek some subtlety. Come forth, thou Jesu, come with me unto the holy city. I have an errand to say. Very God, if that thou be, now I shall full soon see, for I shall ordain honour for thee ere that thou wend away.
And with that, Jesus is taken to the, well, it says super pinaculum, so I'm guessing like either the very top or the very edge of the temple. And the devil speaketh.
Say, thou that sit there so high, if thou be God's son, be sly, come down, and I will say, I see thee do a fair mastery. Thine own angel mun keep thee, that thou hurt neither foot nor knee. Show thy power. Let's see, thou may have honour there be.
And Jesus
Satan,
says to the,
Satan, securely I thee say, it is written that thou ne may tempt God, thy Lord, by no way, what matter soever, be moved.
and
Alas,
Satan
woe,
responds, having descended the.
alas, woe is me today. Twice have I failed of my prey. Was I never routed in such array, nay, half so foul reproved. But yet, if it be thy will, go we play upon this hill. Another point I must fulfill, for aught that may befall. Look about thee now, and see of all these realms royalty for to kneel down and honour thee. Thou shalt be lord of all.
Go forth, Satanus, go forth, go. It is written and shall be so. God thy Lord thou shalt honor, and serve him, though it thee annoy.
Thou me is woe, found I never so mickle a foe. Though I to threep be never so throw, I am overcome thry. Alas, blight now am I quit. Adam I founded with a fit, and him in cumbrance so nigh knit through quaintest of my craft. Now soon out of sorrow he must be shut, and I am punished in hell pit. Never knew I none of such a wit as him that I have laughed. Shame, I am shent with hellhounds when I am hent. I must be ragged and all to rent, and driven all to dirt. Therefore is now mine intent ere I go to make my testament to all that in this place be lent. I bequeath thee shit.
And before Alexandra goes on about enjoying that line, we have to mention that this has been done on the podcast. This play, it's the Butcher's Play, aka The Temptation, but also I believe the woman taken in adultery as well. So it's the combination of the two. And this is one of the endings where basically Jesus says, "Go away, go away, go away," and indeed, Satan goes away. and bequeaths shit. Though shit obviously means something else in this context. There are other endings. But any thoughts before we continue to the other ending of this?
No, I think shit's a really old word.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but I mean, there's shant, shit, and shots here as variants, so I'm not sure whether which one it would be. He says, trying to avoid all the dirty language.
Also, it wasn't as scatological language was not as taboo as it is now. Taking the Lord's name in vain was a more serious offense.
This is true. Alan.
Yeah, you've also got the situation that this was probably originally, because it's Chester play, it would have originally used the local dialect.
Yeah, true.
Which would probably make more sense of some of the rhyming when we're trying to filter it through generations of changes and trying to treat it phonetically, which would have given a certain amount more weight. But one of the things with a lot of these mystery cycles anyway is the language does tend to be fairly earthy, because that's how you get your point over to the common folk.
This is true.
You're using the language of the people.
Yeah. I'm just intrigued that like they have like in the previous play, they have how do you call it? Like scene changes that are not exactly easy to perform. I mean, it's not like you can, okay, I guess you could put Jesus on a harness and like, take him to up to the edge of the temple and stuff, or up, on the roof of the temple or whatever you want to call it. But it's not an easy change unless you change like what's behind them. It depends how you do it, It's like, I mean, I can imagine that it could be quite complicated, and I imagine Alexandra has thoughts on it.
One way you could do it, which is just a suggestion I'd be making rather than, coming from place of empirical evidence that this is what they did do. But if you've got the sort of, carts or floats or whatever it is as a setup for pageantry, what you could do to make very swift and very major scene changes happen is, yes, just change the background and or change what's in the foreground. So, if you've got someone standing midway up the back of the cart with rocks around, with, sort of set representative rocks, and then you just remove those and have them walk forward to the edge of the cart, suddenly they're on a precipice. It's not, I think a lot of this, because again the audience would have known what they're looking at, you could almost black box theater the entire story and sort of have suggestions of, and now you all know where we are, don't you? And that would be enough. But what I wanted to note was, it's interesting how little description of the setting there is. So I would be inclined to imagine this would be done with a lot more visuals, so that you wouldn't need, as happens in later plays, in a lot of the plays that we read, 2 centuries later, lots of descriptions of this is what this exotic place you're looking at looks like, because we can't actually show it to you.
Yeah, but I mean, he kind of tells. I mean, like Satan, whatever you want to call him, Nathan. No, no, that's a different name. Like sort of goes, look, since you're, there's somewhere in a high place, because thou that sits there so high, jump down, and there's no problem. You're not gonna die. Something's gonna be. Why am I rhyming? Was. Like nothing's gonna happen to you if you jump, right? And then you've got the other one of like, go place upon this hill, and it's like you can look about and see everything. You could have all this, and it's kind of you don't need much description for that to be sort of like visualized in a way, or even many visuals, I guess. Kind of, you say you're on a hill, therefore you are on a hill, as long as you don't, fall off it or something. Yeah. And well, there are alternate endings as well, so I am unsure where this fits. Oh, there's also an expositor who is, yes, okay, yeah. So yeah, we should probably move on and see the next variant of, next variant slash shifting into the next part of the play, I'm guessing.
One thing we haven't mentioned is in this particular play that we're looking at, we do have this particular version of this particular play that we're looking at. We also have annotations in the margin with alternatives and things from other versions. So I just wanted to point that out for reading the next section, because it only rhymes if you change version. So if I pick up from a little earlier, alas for shame, I am shent with hellhounds when I am hent. I must be ragged and all to rent and driven all to fire. In sorrow and woe now am I brought, and all my cunning is set at naught. Endless pain must I have sought to my reward and hire. But I am now of good intent to hold a court, full diligent, and call my servants veriment shortly for to appear. Them to reward with dignity, that all their life have served me in burning bliss. There shall they be and sit with Lucifer.
So basically, Satan is calling a board meeting so he can plan what to do. And meanwhile, a doctor / expositor steps in to tell us things.
Lo, lordlings, righteousness, as St. Gregory makes mind express, since our forefather overcomen was by 3 things to do evil. Gluttony, vainglory, there be 2, covetousness of highness also. By these 3 things, without mo, Christ hath overcome the devil. That Adam was tempted in gluttony, I may well prove apertly, when of the fruit falsely the devil made him to eat. And tempted he was in vainglory, when he hight him great mastery, to have Godhead unworthily through eating of that meat. Also he was tempted in avarice, when he het him to be wise, God no good and evil at his device more than he was worthy. For covetousness, Gregory saith express, sins only in riches, but not only in riches, but in willing of highness and state unskillfully. Also Christ in these sins 3 was tempted, as ye might well see. For in gluttony, leave you me, he moved him, you saw here, when he enticed him through his red to turn the stones into bread. And so to move his Godhead, which he was unaware. In vainglory he tempted also, when he excited him to down to go, the pinnacle of the temple foe, an unskillful gate. And in covetousness he tempted was, when he showed him such riches, and had him lands both more and less, and therethrough great estate. Thus overcome Christ in his case. The devil, as played, was in this place. With those 3 sins that Adam was of whale into woe waved. But Adam fell through his trespass, and Jesu withstood him through his grace. For of his Godhead Sathanas that time was clean deceived.
And then basically we have two Pharisees entering with a woman who has been adulterous, and they say, and I can't remember who's who, which doesn't help.
Well, one.
Okay. Master, I read us by God Almighty, we lead this wretched wight that was taken thus tonight in foul adultery before Jesus in his sight. For to tempt him, I have tied to wit whether he will deem the right or else unlawfully.
It is good rede by my fay, so we may catch him by some way. For if he do her grace today, he doth against the law. And if he bid punish her sore, he doth against his own law, that he has preached here before, to mercy man should draw.
And they bring her to Jesus and say, say, Master, this woman that is here is a wedded wife without weir, but with another man than her fear we found here do amiss. And Moses' law bids us stone all such women as be unclean. Therefore to thee we cannot mean to give a doom of this. And Jesus writes in the ground, saying,
Now which of you everyone is without sin? Busk him anon, and cast at her the first stone. Believe ere you blean.
Speak on, master, somewhat to say. Shall she be stoned, or else nay? Or do her mercy here today? Forgive her this sin. And Jesus is still writing on the ground.
Master, why art thou so still? What writest thou? It be thy will, whether we spare or spill this woman found in blame. What writest thou, master? Now let's see. Out, alas, that woe is me! Here I no longer dare I be, but dread of world's shame.
And the second Pharisee flees, and the first Pharisee says, Why fleest thou, fellow, by my fay? I will see sooner, I say. Alas, that I were away far beyond France. Stand thou, Sybil, him beside. No longer here I dare abide, against thee now for to chide, as I have good chance. And as he flees, Jesus says to the woman,
Woman, where be those men each on that put this guilt thee upon? To damn thee now there is none of those that were before.
Lord, to damn me there is none, for all day away gone.
Neither do I damn thee, thou woman. Go forth and sin no more.
Oh, Lord, blessed must thou be, that of mischief hath holpen me. From henceforth sin I will flee, and serve thee in good faith. For Godhead full in thee I see, that knoweth all works that done be. I honour thee, kneeling on my knee, and so I will do aye.
Good doctor, we cannot hear you. Thou art muted.
Now, lordings, I pray you take heed of the great goodness of God's deed. I will declare, as it is need, this thing that played was. As Augustine speaketh expressly of it in his homily upon St. John's Evangely, this he says in that case. 2 ways they cast him to annoy. Titius preached much of mercy. The law commanded expressly such women for to stone that trespassed in adultery. Therefore they hoped witterly variance in him to espy, or blemish of the law clean. Then wist Jesus well their thought, and all their wits set at naught, but bade which no sin had wrought cast at her a stone, and wrote in clay, leave you me, their sins, that they might see that each one fain was to flee, so left her alone. For each one of them had grace to see their sins in that place, yet none of them wiser was, but his own each man knew. and fain they were to take their way, lest they had damned been that day. Thus help the woman in good faith, our sweet Lord Jesu.
And thus endeth play 12, which, as I might have mentioned or forgotten to mention, I don't know what I've said anymore. Time is weird. Yeah, this is also on the podcast. It's the temptation and the woman that was taken with adultery, performed by Dashingly Quirky, I think is the right, possibly. Yes, Dashingly Quirky, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, presenting on behalf of Beyond, which is kind of nice. Yeah, this is a weird play because you've got like two different things done in the same, two different episodes. Lynn, then Alexandra, then Alan.
I probably am going to talk too much, but so I'm really interested in the way sin is hierarchized as social and cultural circumstances shift. In 1300, an urban Italian envisioned levels in hell, with adultery and gluttony on top, and pride at the bottom. Pride was the greatest of the 7 deadly sins. 70, 80 years later, when William Langland wrote Piers Plowman, there's a passage in that where he discusses the 7 deadly sins in a kind of random order, and adultery doesn't get much, and pride does not really get a whole lot of treatment, but he goes on for pages about gluttony. So a rural English writer writing after the Great Plague had hit has a different idea of what a really bad sin is than Dante did. So I think it's really interesting here that we have both pride, vainglory, and gluttony as the 3 biggies that caused the fall of man. I've never seen gluttony blamed for Adam and Eve eating the apple anywhere else. Like, they weren't hungry. It wasn't for the taste. It was for the power. But we want to mention gluttony. Gluttony is bad. Gluttony is bad in an economy of scarcity. Gluttony is bad. So I'm guessing that's a reflection of. Gluttony is a serious sin in an economy where there's not enough food, there aren't enough people to work the land, that there's famine, there's economic upheaval. Eating more than your share is a much more serious undermining of the social order than it is in other circumstances.
This is very true and also very interesting. And thank you for being here, because you're awesome. I mean, all of you are, but like, yeah. And also you bring a scooter, so yeah, it's not the only reason. Yeah, no, it's interesting how there is like this long list, and I do like how the doctor / expositor mentions like sources. He's like got the source material nearby, going for covetousness. Gregory.
Gregory, Augustine. It's like, I have authorities.
Yeah. It's like I cite my sources. You know, I'm not plagiarizing. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I was the right person to cast as that. The English teacher, cites her sources.
I mean, of course. Yeah. Alexandra, you had more things to say.
Yeah, just a handful. So one is speaking to that variation in version that we encounter. A lot of the changes don't really make much of a difference to the sense of the books that they might be replacing, but there's one that is a good example that I'd like to bring up, which is when they bring the woman out. The first Pharisee has the line that we read, "Master, this woman that is here is a wedded wife without weir." In an alternative version, it's this woman that is here was wedded lawfully 2 years. The essential thing about her is the next line, which is she was found with a man who is not her husband. But I just thought it's interesting, that one, and there's another one lower down, which is once she said to Jesus, "Yeah, you're right. They've all gone. No one's left to damn me." Jesus responds, "Neither do I damn thee, thou woman. Or else now I damn thee not." I feel like they come from very different places, in our modern interpretation of what's the word I'm looking for here? Motivations and, characterization in much more detail. I feel like these things might change how we would approach the representation of these characters, and I wonder whether any of these sort of fine changes might have been, on the one hand, just people writing things down as they remember them and not remembering them identically, or else things where they've decided to change the sense in a way that is significant to the audience that they're playing to, but not necessarily that we can read as a significant difference. And I had one more thing to point out, which is I find it fascinating how whoever says, "I wish I were away," wants to be as far away as France, far beyond France, right?
Oh,
Which is,
far.
as we all know, a very biblical declaration.
Of course, because this isn't at all set in Jerusalem, which would be on the other side of France. So it's like, oh yeah, I totally want to be in England. Yeah. This is I do like the sort of not anachronistic, is that the right word? Like sort of it doesn't fit into the time, but it's yeah. Also, I feel like this play, like there aren't any there isn't much humor, whereas in other plays when you get like Satan being scared or something, he usually farts and runs off. But it's usually morality plays and stuff, but okay, this is a mystery cycle and things, so maybe it's a bit more reverent towards Satan. Alexandra?
Sorry, one more thing. The other difference that I'm noticing from other mystery cycles that I've been around for, and that's Townley and N-Town, so you guys might know more about this than I do, but I don't remember the other ones having an explanation at the end of every play from a character within the play going, and the lesson we learn here is,
Yeah, I don't think we had that either, but it depends on the play, because they did a lot more exposition before that, I think. It depends on the version. Alan?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly had the Doctor Oblique Expositor figure, and I don't think that the Doctor is the same person as the Doctors of the Church who we'd seen earlier. It is a contemporary expositor rather than historically.
Yeah. Also, what I remember was that the like from a different cycle, possibly I don't think it was N-Town, probably not N-Town. Another one that you can probably find on our YouTube if I could only remember which one it was. It is that in another play, like the Pharisees and the people accusing the woman of adultery go so far as to try to kill her. That's like one of the and Jesus steps in rather than dragging her to Jesus for judgment, which is an interesting. Well, it's a tiny difference, I guess, but yeah, it's important in some ways, I suppose. Yeah. I guess it's just a different intention in some ways. Any other thoughts on this play before we move to the final player for today, which is going to be actually probably the most complicated because I can't remember who's who. Okay, in that case, we can move on to play 13. Unless, Alan, you have something to add?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Play 13 is the Glovers play with the resurrection of Lazarus. I don't know if these are considered spoilers, but I mean, come on. I'm just translating the Latin as I go, and I don't even speak Latin, so there, or read Latin. And so we have Jesus being read by Rachel again. We have who's reading Peter? I don't know what we're doing. Yes. See, they know, I don't. It's just because they have to keep changing back and forth. Yes. So first neighbor. Well, first, yeah. Primus, Vicinus, and the first Pharisee and all that stuff is read by me. Basically, everything that you guys are not reading, I am reading. I don't know how much I should tell our audience what you're reading, because I don't know if that's going to make a difference. So Jesus is being read by Rachel, Peter is being read by Alan, John is being read by Alexandra, who's also reading the second Vicinus, mother, and Primus Jew. And be careful, there might be, anti-Semitism. We don't know, because I can't remember what happens in this play. I am reading Primus, Vicinus, so basically first neighbor, I'm guessing, the father and Thomas and loads of other people. And Lynn is reading Caecus, and I seem to remember there's Alan is also reading Lazarus, which is very important. And Lynn is reading Caecus and Martha, and Rachel is reading Jesus and Nuncius, who presumably is a messenger or of some sort. So with that, and all the confusion ensuing in mind, Jesus, take it away.
Brethren, I am Filius Dei, light of this world. He that followeth me walketh not in darkness, but hath the light of life. The scriptures so record. As patriarchs and prophets of me bear in witness, both Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in their sundry testimonies, unto whom I was promised before the world began, to pay their ransom and to become man. Ego et pater unum sumus, my Father and I are all one, which hath me sent from the throne sempiternal, to preach and declare his will unto man, because he loveth him above all as creatures all, and his treasure and darling most principal. Man, I say again, which is his own elect above all creatures, peculiarly select. Wherefore, dear brethren, it is my mind and will to go to Bethlehem and stand hereby, my Father's hestes and commandments to fulfill, for I am the good shepherd that putteth his life in jeopardy to save his flock, which I love so tenderly, as it is written of me. The scripture beareth witness. Bonus pastor ponit animam suam pro ovibus suis. Go we therefore, brethren, while the day is light, to do my Father's work, as I am full-minded, to heal the sick and restore the blind to sight, that the prophecy of me may be fulfilled. For other sheep I have which are to me committed. They be not of this flock, yet I will them regard, that there may be one flock and one shepherd. But ere we go hence, print these sayings in your mind and heart, record them and keep them in memory. Continue in my word, from it do not depart. Thereby shall all men know most perfectly that you are my disciples and of my family. Go not before me, but let my word be your guide. Then in your doings you shall always be well sped.
And enter a boy with Caecus, aka the blind man, or Chelidonius. If pity may move your gentle heart, remember, good people, the poor and the blind, with your charitable aims, this poor man to comfort, that is your own neighbor and of your own kind.
Your alms, good people, for charity to me that am blind and never did see your neighbor born in this city. Help me ere I go hence.
Master, instruct us in this case, why this man born blind was. Was it for his own trespass, or else for his parents?
Who's John?
I do believe it's Alexandra, maybe? I'm not sure. I need to check. We can't hear you for some reason.
Is this
Oh,
all right?
yeah.
Okay, sorry, my terrible apologies. Was sin the cause original wherein we be conceived all that this blind man was brought in thrall, or his forefathers' offence?
It was neither for his offense, neither the sin of his parents, nor other fault or negligence that he was blind born, but for this cause specially, to set forth God's great glory, his power to show manifestly, this man's sight to reform. While the day is fair and bright, my father's works I must work right, until the coming of the night, that light be gone away. In this world when I am here, I am the light that shineth clear. My light to them shall well appear, which cleave to me alway.
And with this, okay, I have no idea what that says in Latin, but did something about Jesus and taking mud and a blind eye to. Okay, that makes no sense. This is a Google translation. Alexandra, please help.
So,
Translation in square
he-
brackets.
yeah,
Doesn't make any sense either. Yeah.
he makes clay of the earth and places it, rubs it with his hand in the eyes of the blind man, and then
Then
says,
says,
Dear man, as I say to thee, go to the water of Siloam and wash thy eyes, and thou shalt see, and give to God the praise.
which the blind man does, presumably.
Lead me, good child, right hastily unto the water of Siloam.
And while washing, he says,
Praised be God omnipotent, which now to me sight hath sent. I see all things now here present. Blessed be God always. When I had done as God me bade, my perfect sight forthwith I had. And wherefore my heart is now full glad that I doubt where I am.
enter two locals or citizens. Neighbor, if the truth should say, this is a blind man which yesterday asked our alms as we came this way. It is the very same.
No, no, neighbour, it is not he, but it is the likeliest to him that ever I see. One man to another like may be, and so is he to him.
Goodly men, truly I am he that was blind, and now I see. I am no other, verily. Inquire of all my kin.
Then tell the truth, we thee pray, and how this has happened to us. Say that thou that even yesterday could see no earthly thing, and now seest so perfectly, no want of sighting we see. Declare therefore to us truly, without more reasoning.
The man, which we call Jesus, that worketh miracles daily with us, and whom we find so gracious, anointed my eyes with clay, and to the water of Siloam he bade me go immediately, and wash my eyes, and I could see, and thither I took the way. When the water on my eyes light, immediately I had my sight, and there was never earthly wight so joyful in his thought.
Where is he now, we thee pray?
I know not where he is by this day.
Thou shalt with us come on this way, and to the Pharisees these words say. But if thou would these things deny, it shall help thee right not.
And they
Look
go
up.
to the Pharisees. Sorry.
Look up, lordings and judges of right. We have brought you a man that had no sight, and on the Sabbath day, through one man's might, was healed and restored for sooth.
Declare to them, thou wicked wight, who did restore thee to thy sight, that we may know anon right of this matter the truth.
Jesus anointed my eyes with clay, and bade me wash in Siloam, and before I come away, my perfect sight I had.
This man.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, are you the first or am I the first?
I believe you are. I
This
told you
man,
it's confusing.
this man, the truth, if I should say, is not of God. My head I lay, which thus violates the Sabbath day. I judge him to be mad.
It cannot enter into my thought that he which hath this marvel wrought should be a sinner. I leave it naught. 'Tis not in my creed. Say, what is he that did thee heal?
A prophet he is, without fail.
Surely thou art a knave of kind, that feignest thyself for to be blind. Wherefore, now this is my mind, the truth to try, indeed. His father and mother, both in fear, shall come declare the matter here, and then the truth shall soon appear, and we out of doubt. Go forth, messenger, anon in high, and fetch his parents by and by. This knave can naught but prate and lie. I would his eyes were out.
Your bidding, master, I shall fulfill, and do my duty as is good skill. From this day hither, I know they will, and I shall spy them out.
And with that, he basically looks around and finds the mother and father and accosts them.
Sir and dame, both in fair, you must afore the Pharisees appear. What their will is, there you shall hear. Have done, and come your way.
Last man, what do we here? Must we afore the Pharisees appear? A vengeance on them far and near, they never did poor men good.
Dame, there is no other way but the commandment we must obey, or else they would, without delay, curse us and take our good. They go out with the messenger.
Here I have brought, as you bade me, these two persons that aged be. They be the parents of him truly which said that he was blind.
Come near to us both two, and tell us truly, ere that you go, whether this be your son or no. Look no deceit we find.
Masters, we know certainly our son he is, we cannot deny, and blind was born undoubtedly, and that we will depose. But who restored him to his sight, we be uncertain, by God Almighty. Wherefore of him, as it is right, the truth you must inquire.
For he hath age his tale to tell, and his mother tongue to utter it well, although he could never buy nor sell. Let him speak, we desire. Give praise to God, thou crafty knave, and look thereafter, do not rave, nor say that Jesus did thee save, and restored thee to thy right.
Here's a sinner, and that we know, deceiving the people to and fro. This is most true that we thee show. Believe us as is right.
If he be sinful, I do not know, but this is truth that I do show. When I was blind and in great woe, he cured me, as you see.
What did he, thou liver swain?
I told you once, will you hear it again? Or his disciples will you become, of all your sins to have remission?
Said caitiff, ill mock thou thee. Wouldst thou have his disciples to be? No, Moses' disciples been all we, for God with him did speak. Whence this is, we never knew.
I marvel of that, as I am true, that you know not from whence he should be, that cured me, that never did see. Knowing this most certainly, God's will not sinners hear, but he that honoreth God truly, him will he hear by and by, and grant his asking graciously, for that man to him is dear. And to this I dare be bold. There is no man that ever could restore a creature unto his sight that was blind born and never saw light. If he of God were not, I wis, he could never work such things as this.
What, sinful knave, wilt thou teach us with all the scriptures candid, which us which all the scriptures can discuss, and of our living be so virtuous, we curse thee out of this place.
Thou in God's Son, truly.
Yes, gracious Lord, who is he?
Thou hast seen him with thine eye. He is the same that talketh with thee.
Then there I honor him with free heart, and ever shall serve him until I die.
Say, man that makest such mastery, ere thou our souls do any annoy, tell us here apertly, Christ, if that thou be.
That I speak to you openly, and works that I do verily in my Father's name almighty beareth witness of me. But you believe not as you seem, for of my sheep you nae been, but my flock without and ween hear my voice alway. And I know them well each one, for with me always they gone. And for them I ordained in my one everlasting life, for I. No man shall reave my sheep from me, for my Father in majesty is greater than being all ye, or any that ever was.
Thou shalt abide by my bone ere thou heathen pass. Help, fellow, and gather stones, and beat him well, for cock's bones he's going thus quaintly for the nones, and doth us great annoy. And by this point they start to collect stones. Yes, yea, stones, and now I have for this ribald that thus can rave. Our one stroke, as God me save, he shall have soon and high.
Wretches, many a good deed I have done you in great need. Now quit you, fool, my meed, to stone me in this manner.
For thy good deed that thou hast wrought at this time, stone we thee not. But for thy leasings, falsely wrought, thou showst apert here. Thou that art man as well as I, makes thyself God here, open lie, there thou liest foul and falsely, both in word and thought.
But I do well and truly my Father's bidding by and by, else may hope well I lie. And then lives you me not. But sithen you will not live in me, nor my deeds which you now see, to them believing takes ye, for nothing may be soother. So you may know well and very in my Father that I am I, and he in me, sooth to say, and either of us in other.
And here it seems they put the stones down and leave Jesus in peace. I'm not sure. Yes. And yes. Out, alas, where's our phone? But quintly that he is even gone. I would have taken him and that anon, and foul him all to frat. Yes, yea, make we never such moan. Now there is no other one, for he and his men, everyone, are from us clearly escaped.
For death I shall on die, may I see him with my eye to the Caecus. I shall him ride, and tell that shall him dear. See I never none by my faith, when I had stones so soon away, but yet no force. Another day his tabard we shall fear.
And technically here there's a break in the script, and maybe we should take a 2-minute break just so Alexandra catch her breath. Yeah, I don't remember them trying to stone Jesus, but Alexandra's getting ready already. But maybe that's just me. And I don't know how you would do this thing with the throwing and the stuff and the I'm guessing there was sort of Alan.
They throw the stones.
I think it's probably there. We need a bit of spectacle at this time, chaps. You know, let's do a bit of dumb show with some rocks. Went well last time we did it.
Could be. Lynn is pointing out in the chat that basically the character name means blind, therefore it's
know that. No, I was
No, it was more for the pronunciation. Sorry. And yeah, I don't know how you do it with the mud and the clay and the stuff. I'm just guessing this is just some sort of, you find something, some imaginary clay, or maybe not. I don't know. And rub it onto your face, and I don't know, maybe not. Alan?
Other face packs may be available from your local cosmetics store.
True. Nowadays, I don't know. I mean, you could.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
Similar things have existed throughout history.
True. Alexandra.
I was going to praise the reuse of props, because we have, in the previous play, we had, if you're so high and mighty, turn these rocks into bread. And then in this play, no, I can't remember now if it's in the same one or the next one. The woman taken in adultery is going to be stoned before the whole writing on the ground and then dropping the stones and leaving. And now they've reached the point where the unbelievers are picking up stones to stone Jesus, potentially. Nobody ever actually throws a stone, which is excellent for staging, because you can't, your risk assessment, your early modern risk assessment, or medieval, is much easier to write. But it is interesting if any of these bits happen on the same constructed stage, that you can recycle and repurpose props. I mean, the stones are a really obvious one. I imagine this is something that, if we had more of an understanding of how this would have been done historically, we would spot a lot more. But yeah, I just found that really interesting.
Yeah, and well, I think supposedly each play was done on a separate pageant wagon, but I don't quite understand how that works. So, Alan.
Well, rocks would scarcely be a scarce commodity, I think, at the time. You can find stones most places without looking too hard.
This is true. Well, we should probably move on to like the next bit of the play, because well, for one thing, we're running a little bit, but then I mean, we've done almost 3 plays, well, plays within plays. So yes, Alexandra, are you ready to sorry, it's just all the scarf business. It's just like, because we had someone drop out, so we have to things. We're compensating for a lack of people. Alexandra is many people, and I'm just glad she hasn't run out of scarves yet.
Yeah, we're compensating for a lack of people through a surfeit of scarves.
If only that worked in other things. Anyway, so from basically Mary and Martha seem to enter.
Lord Jesus, that me is woe, to wit my brother sickly so, in feeble time Christ yode me fro. Well were we, and he were here.
Yea, sister, about I will go, and seek Jesu to and fro, to help him he would be throw, and he wist how it were.
And then comes Jesus.
My Lord, sweet Jesus, mercy. Lazarus, who thou lovest tenderly, lieth sick a little hereby, and suffereth much teen.
Yea, woman, I tell thee witterly, sickness is not deadly, but God's Son to glorify by him as may be seen.
And at this point, Mary comes to Martha. Yeah.
Oh, Martha, sister, alas, my brother is dead since thou here wast. Had Jesu, my Lord, been in this place, this case had not befallen.
Yea, sister, near is God's grace. Many a man he often has, yet may he do for us in this case, and him to life call.
Here will I sit and mourning make, till that Jesu my sorrow slake. My teen to heart, Lord, thou take, and leech me of this woe.
In sorrow and woe, here will I wake, and lament for Lazarus, my brother's sake, though I for could and penance quake, heathen will I not go.
Then both sit near the grave to sorry, I'm trying to read the translation, but also check if it's right. The grave to weep, and Jesus is somewhere there at a distance, from afar.
And go we to Judea. Brethren, go we to Judea.
Master, right well now thou well might see the Jews would have stoned thee, and yet thou wilt again?
Wot you not well in this is very, that 12 hours are in the day, and whoso walketh that time his way trespasseth not, be sooth to say. He offendeth not that goeth in light, but whosoever walketh about in night, he trespasseth all against the right, and light in him is none. Why I say this, as I have tight, I shall tell you soon in height. Have mind on it through your might to think, and thinks well thereupon. To the day myself have likened be, and to the 12 hours all ye that lightened been through following me, that am most liking light. For words light I am very, and whoso followeth me, sooth to say, he may go no Chester way. For light in him is dight. Brethren, I tell you tidings. Lazarus, my friend, is sleeping. Thither must we be going upon him for to call.
Can't remember what he wore. Lord, if he sleep, safe he may be, for in his sleep no peril is he. Therefore it is not good for thee. Go thither for so small.
I tell you, brethren, certainly, Lazarus is dead, and thither will I. Fain I am, you wot that I was not there, as you may see.
I was just busy laughing. Follow him, brethren, to his annoy, and die with him devoutly, for other it will not be. We go thither in high. And basically they basically go towards where Jesus will go, where he plans to meet, where he meets basically Martha and Mary. And Martha is muted.
Ah, Lord Jesu, hadst thou been here led, Lazar my brother had not been dead. But well I wot thou wilt us read. Now thou art with us here. And this I leave, and hope aright. What thing thou asked of God Almighty, he will grant it thee in height, and grant thee thy prayer.
Thy brother, Martha, shall rise, I say.
That leave I, Lord, in good faith, that he shall rise the last day, and then hope I to see him to see.
Martha, I tell thee without nay, I am rising, and life very, which life shall last for aye, and never shall ended be. Whosoever liveth steadfastly in me, I tell thee truly, though he dead be, and down lie, shall live and farewell. Leaves thou, woman, what this may be, that this may be?
Lord, I leave, and leave moan, that thou art Christ, God's Son, and comen into this world to one man's boot for to be. This I have leaved steadfastly. Therefore on me thou have mercy, and on my sister Mary, I will fetch her to thee.
And basically Martha goes and calls Mary.
Ah, Mary, sister leaf and dear, hie thee quickly and come near. My sweet Lord Jesu, he is here, and calleth thee him too.
Ah, well, we, and it so were, but had my lovely Lord of Laird seen my brother lie one bare, what some boot might have been done. But now he stinketh, sooth to say, for now this is the 4th day since he was buried in the clay that was to me so lief. But yet, my lord, I will say, and with all my heart him will I pray to comfort us, and that he may, and mend all our mischief.
And then Mary sees him and is prostrate, is that the word? At his feet, and says,
Ah, Lord Jesus, hadst thou been here, Lazar, my brother, thy own dear, had not been dead in this man here, much sorrow is me upon.
Where have you laid him? Tell me.
Lord, come hither, and thou mayst see, for buried in this place is he 4 days now agone.
and the Jews, while Alexandra changes her scarf, the first saying,
See, fellow, cock's soul, this great beginneth to ream and yowl and make great dole for goal that be loved well before.
he had cunningly think he might from death have saved Lazarus by right, as well as send that man his sight, the which so blind was born.
Have done, and put away the stone.
Ah, Lord, 4 days he be gone, since he was buried. Blood and bone, he stinks, Lord, in good faith.
Martha, said I not to thee, if that thou fully believed in me, God's grace soon shouldst thou see? Therefore, do as I thee say.
And basically, they remove the stone from the grave, from the sepulchre, and Jesus, turning his back and raising his hands, says,
Father in heaven, I thank it thee, that so soon hast heard me. Well I wist and soothly see, thou hearest mine intent. But for this people that stand hereby, speak I thee more openly, that they may leave steadfastly from thee that I was sent. Lazar, come forth, I bid thee.
Our Lord, blessed must thou be, which from death to life hath raised me through thy mickle might. Lord, when I heard the voice of thee, all failed of their posterity. So fast from them my soul can flee, all devils were afraid.
Loose him now and let him go.
Ah, Lord, honored be thou, O, that us has saved from much woe, as thou hast oft beforn. For well I wit it should be so, when you were full far from me. Fro, thee, Lord, I honor and no mo, kneeling upon my knee.
Ah, Lord Jesus, much is thy might, for now my heart is glad and light to see my brother rise in my sight, here before all these men. Well I hoped that soon in height, when thou came, it should fare aright. Thee, Lord, I honor with all my might, kneeling upon my knee.
Ah, Lord Jesu, I thank thee, and on my brother, that on my brother has pity. By very signs now men may see that thou art God's son. With thee ever, Lord, ever will I be, and serve thee with heart free, that this day hath gladded me, and alway with thee one.
Have good day, my daughter dear, wherever you go, far or near. My blessing I give you here, to Jerusalem I take the way.
and thus endeth the 13th play, which is, basically the entire thing about Lazarus. I can't remember if there's anything more before that, because basically it's all the healing that Jesus does and causes trouble in the community because the NHS did not exist. I mean, sorry. I'm just saying silly things because I don't know enough about religion to discuss this properly, so I'm just being adult. Any thoughts on this play? I feel like there's a part of me going, you should break it up, but then maybe that loses the momentum of the play. Yeah. Alan?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like a slightly odd version. The Chester one does seem to conflate quite a number of incidents into one play. I'm trying to remember how many plays there are in total. I have a feeling it's something of the order of 30. So we're probably not yet halfway through the Chester cycle at this point. So there's a lot of the later story, which I suspect they cover more extensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seem to remember it's like 30 something as well, but maybe that's just me mixing it up with other ones. Yeah, so Rachel, any thoughts since you played Jesus or not, or have disappeared like magic?
Go on.
Yeah. Any thoughts since we're wrapping up, Alexandra?
Yeah, so I think this is actually potentially quite dynamic. You can do it in a way that's very dynamic. This conflated, all the healing and events in order. Ending with the resurrection, which is the biggest healing of all healings. And I also found it interesting that, sorry, I keep getting surprised by the existence of apostles in this. But there is something about, so I missed John both times, but there's also a Thomas and there's Peter and so there's something interesting about how this might be staged or might have been staged with many more people present than the people who are speaking. And so consequently with a lot of, as well as a lot of, scene changes and settings and then spacings and all of this, either in a way that, the people involved or no, people present but not active could contribute to the setting up of the next thing, or else if you're doing this as a promenade rather than as, that the stage is moving, if the audience is moving along and past it, then you could have the actors move, from set to set, and you're just either turning towards them or following them along. And then what that means is we, as we're reading this, we're getting the idea of, and this one person, say Jesus and Satan, go from this part, they're I don't know, in this setting, they're in the desert, and then suddenly they're in the temple or above the temple, and then suddenly they're, atop a hill. If all you have is two people moving from one point to another, that's probably achievable. And you could do that with the rest of the actors being placed in the positions of, what comes next. Alternatively, or as well as that gives you some very nice moments like he's just finished persuading the Pharisees, or yes, rather than Jesus persuading the Pharisees, the blind man has encountered Jesus and been cured, and then he's spending some time talking to the Pharisees and persuading them that the thing that happened was a real thing. And then Jesus turns up somewhere else because he's had time,
To change.
although I do believe he does appear. I do believe he is still there with the Pharisees and the Jews. But yes, this moment of, you could do it that way as well. He's in one scene, and along comes Mary. I do apologize, Mary, sister of Lazarus, not Mary, mother of Jesus. I did shift the scarf real quick.
Oops.
But yeah, different Mary comes along and goes, come with me to the next float. We've got some other business to attend to.
Yeah, I do
So
like
either
how
way, you can make it very different.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say that I like how you get like the two random people turning up to speak in the middle of like Jesus doing the Healy bit, and then like, yeah, you have nothing to do with the scene, but you've come to doubt him for, Lynn, any thoughts?
Not really. I did find the resurrection of Lazarus surprisingly touching. But yeah, I really don't have a lot to say about religious drama. It's really not my area of interest. Sorry.
But you've spoken a lot about the language, which is kind of cool. I should probably wrap up now and bid you all, thank you all for being all the people. And anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I must admit I've been through this particular play with a precursor to this group, which was actually back in 2015, 2016 time, when we actually did things in real space with real people.
Are you
Which
saying we're not
seems
real?
unreal, not all in little boxes on screens. And it's an interesting one because the language is partially modernized within the script we've got, because I kept looking at, and I certainly remember in versions we were looking at early on, withouten used to turn up as a word quite frequently, which in the version we're looking at here has been modernized to without. And it does sometimes play a bit of a devil with the scansion.
Yeah, true that.
And there was one earlier with the reference to the river in which Caecus washes his eyes, which to make the rhyme scheme work has to be pronounced Siloe. But that's not intuitive until you look at it.
Yeah,
or hear it.
read it out loud. Yeah. Alexandra has things to say.
Just to add to that, also, I think you're right, Alan. The spelling, the older spelling, although less comfortable for us as modern readers, also has more information about pronunciation, including things to do with accent, which are, fascinating in portrayal, difficult at first reading.
Yeah, this is true, especially when you're playing multiple characters like Alexandra did. I mean, I did too, but then I forgot. So yeah, So without further ado, I will. I don't know. Do I have to clap myself for that? Maybe not. I'm just wondering now because I will I would like to thank these wonderful readers for their wonderful reading, and if you want to join us during these readings, you can find it on the website. I think it's beyondshakespeare.org or .com. I can't remember. I'm that bad of a host. I haven't done my homework. And you too can get a box shipped out to you. See, Lynn has one in her background, an extra one. That's totally not a window. So yeah, you can join us if you like, or just come lyric like off camera and listen to us do this live rather than recorded. Without further ado, I bequeath thee shit.